welcome to the Rock Interview Series with host Thomas S. Orwatt Jr.
Welcome to episode number 84 of the Rock Interview Series. I'm Thomas Orwatt Jr. It's October 17th, 2023, and for this feature, I have Matt Snell, bass player of the hard rock bands Unveil the Strength and Kill Devil Hill, and formerly of Five Finger Death Punch, as my guest. During this interview, Matt talks about all 7 released Unveil the Strength songs, the band's tour plans, why he decided to become a bass player, and much, much more. So let's get started. Here is Matt Snell. Before we get started, please subscribe to the Rock Interview Series. Hey everyone, welcome to the Rock Interview Series, and today we have Matt Snell, bass player of 2 really great bands right now, Kill Devil Hill, which has kind of been rebooted, and Unveil the Strength, which is a new band that actually was formed in 2018 and have released 7 singles so far, and they're all killers. And so, Matt, first of all, thank you for joining us here at the Rock Interview Series.
Thanks for having me.
I want to start off by talking about Unveil the Strength, the singles that you've put out so far. It's pretty incredible, the numbers. The band was formed in 2018, and since then, you've had about 4 million streams on Spotify, which is absolutely insane for a new band. Let's start off. Why don't you tell us about the formation of the band, first of all?
Well, we started that band. I've been friends with Mark for a long time. We kind of been bouncing around each other for a while, but never really had a chance to work together. And I was doing a band called NVIDIA, and we had lost our singer because his other band in this moment was so busy. He was booked for like 2 years, and we couldn't wait. So we got a guy to fill in for a while, and he wasn't a long-term guy. So we were looking to bring Mark into that. And he came and met me in Austin, Texas. We were doing a show down there, and we sat in his car, and he played some of his tunes and his music, and he actually sang for me right there in the car. And I was so impressed with what he was doing, and I liked his style so much that I actually walked away from NVIDIA. Like, that was the night I decided, like, this band, I'll have to come back and work on this band another time when stars aligned and everything. And we went back and we talked for a little while and just kind of discussed what we wanted to do and the path that we wanted to take. And we mixed all of our music up together and started writing right away.
Now, you've released 7 singles on Spotify. Now, from what I understand, you've recorded them. They've been recorded a while ago, right? I mean, the ones that you're releasing right now?
Yeah, well, what we did is this band was ready to go in December of 19 is when we had everything kind of the records done. We had worked on that record with Andy James, who, as you know, is now the guitar player for Five Finger Death Punch. But we had cut a video and everything. So we were ready to go. And then January 2020, we all know what happened then. And the world got kind of thrown into chaos. So we just had a long talk about it and decided that, we didn't want to release the record. Everybody was focused on everything else that was going on. And that we would find a way to service each single independently. And Mark took it upon himself to take classes on how to market Instagram, how to market Facebook, how to market with Spotify. One of the things we hear all the time is, oh, you have all those plays because you bought them. And that's just simply not true. Mark was miserable. He hated every hour of it, but it was a massive, intensive online classes that he would take because, the country was shut down. So we found other things to work on. The music was there, but we needed to learn how to properly market, how to work with these companies to get the best out of it. And, Spotify has curated many playlists for us because we've done so well and advertised with them that they're placing us onto these massive playlists that have, millions of followers. So, the trickle down theories just keep working. And we didn't give out the whole record. A lot of bands gave out their whole record during a pandemic when everyone was focused on, pandemics and election fraud and, the whole Black Lives Matter movement was going on. And there was literally riots in my town going on. Like it just seemed foolish to put a record out. So we just went on this approach of we're going to try and do a video for every single song and give it time and work it and advertise it and get the input back, find out, because this whole record is going to teach us kind of what direction we need to go as far as the future of the band. What songs are people like? I love them all, but that doesn't mean anything. It's what do people really like in what we've done. So that's why our numbers are so good. And that's why we've been having the success we have. This do hard work.
You mentioned Andy playing on it. Did he play on all the songs that are being released and has
Yeah. Yeah,
okay,
he
so
was a member of the band. He had come in about halfway through. And we did, we already had 5 or 6 songs done, completed, recorded. And he wanted to go back and re-record the leads on all of those, which, if you heard the guy play, your answer to that is yes. And he committed to being in the band. And then all of a sudden, we got wind that he was being courted by, my former band. And I totally get it. Like, the money there and the fame and the opportunity to play these massive shows is something you don't pass up. So he went to go do that. And then we hired another guy, our second British guitar player, Richard, to come in. And that's who we did the first set of shows with. And then Richard has since left the band, and we have yet another English guitar player in Dean. So we've picked London and Liverpool clean of guitar players for our band. It's kind of a running joke that we always have British guitar players. So
wow, that's three. That's pretty incredible. Now you mentioned tour dates. Are there any upcoming tours scheduled right
yeah,
now?
we just got back. We did a short run through Texas, Alabama, Florida, Louisiana, that kind of thing. It was good. We came back. We had a tour booked. I was actually due to fly out today to go and get the bus and the trailer, which is parked in Texas, and then get it back to Mark's place so we could have rehearsals and get everything maintenance and loaded up to go. But we ended up dropping off the tour. The finances didn't make sense for us to do it. It's kind of a fatal tour for us. And so we decided about a week and a half ago that we weren't going to do that tour. So we're going to jump on another one that's supposed to go out in the first or second week of December. It's real short, 10 or 12 days before the holidays kick in. It's with the same group that was going to take us out before, but I think the money will be better this time, and the logistics, because you really have to look at the big picture when you're a band like us. We don't draw a lot of money, and we have to be able to make sure everybody can eat and get paid. And the bus doesn't run on friendship, as we say, So we just had to make sure it was right. So yeah, we're excited. I don't have anything to tell you right now, other than the tour that I had the last time we spoke. We ended up just making a business decision to not do it.
Yeah, now I mentioned before that you're also in Kill Devil Hill, a
Yep.
band that has been around for a while and basically has had a reboot with new members in the band. Do you find it difficult being in two popular bands like that? I mean, it must be a blessing and a curse.
I've always been in a lot of bands. They used to call me the bass whore, because I'll play for anybody. When I was living in LA, I just wanted to play. That's my love, is playing and performing. So I play with everybody I can. I was in 4 bands when Death Punch got signed. So I just had to, it's all about scheduling, really, because Mark Zavon had hit me up to do Kill Devil Hill about, I don't know, the second or third week of January, which is of 2020, which was the exact same time that everything came to a grinding halt. And he calls me up and says, "Hey, you want to make a record with Kill Devil Hill?" And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." I'm drawing every day because I'm a tattoo artist. So I'm just at home drawing and practicing bass. And I would love to make a record. And I've been friends with Dewey for, almost 30 years now. And I was a fan of Kill Devil Hill. So I was like, what an opportunity. God just gave me this great chance to be in this band that I already liked, with people that I really get along with really well and have a blast with.
Or I want to go through all the songs from Unveil the Strength. I mean, there's 7 songs. They're all killer songs. Really intense, great riffs, bass playing. It's outstanding. I want to talk about the newest single that you put out, Foundations. If you could just give us a little insight into that song. I mean, that song's brutal.
Yeah, it's a great song, isn't it? We kind of want, like, Foundations is also the title track of the record. We didn't release it for until like number 7, and we have the next 3 songs coming out soon. But like I said, we're painstakingly releasing them as singles so that it makes sense. You give out a record, it's like a stripper walking on stage naked. The surprise is over. So with that song, I fought to put that song up earlier and lost. I really like it. I just think it's a really powerful song, and there's some good riffing in it, and it has a great message about it's kind of like the model for the band when we talked about it. Like, we're literally laying a foundation for this entire thing moving forward of what we're going to be. And you can't do anything in life without a solid foundation. You have to have a group, a crew, and some sort of loyalty there. So the kind of song is basically the anthem of Unveil the Strength.
Yeah, like I said, a great song, and I definitely think you guys have the foundation to be a great band. Now, do you feel that this band can be as big as Five Finger Death Punch? I mean, you guys definitely have the songs. I mean, but it takes, unfortunately, more than just great songs. It takes a lot of luck in that too.
Well, you really have to know the right people. The right people will connect you to the right amount of money that you need to get to the right places. For us, we're going to do it old school. We have no deep pockets. We don't have any of that. We're just grinding out like I did when I was 19. If you can get, our models, we're going to be so good they can't say no. So we're just going to keep going and we're going to make it happen on our own. No one's coming to save you is another motto in the band. No one's coming to make this well, there's a lot of really good bands out there. We play with a lot of bands and I watch them play. I'm like, man, they're remarkable, but I know it's not going to happen for them because they just don't know the right people. They don't have the right thing. And there's just a little bit of fate and luck involved in this business. Five Finger Death Punch came up really fast, but we've been working on that for 2 years before everyone heard about us. And that was the result of our working 24 hours a day in a shift on MySpace back in the day to when we got signed. Then we had a team of people that did that work for us and a budget to advertise and a budget to go to radio and a budget to get a bus so I can sleep and go do interviews in the morning. Those are the things that really help break a band and give you a chance to get out there and be seen. But at the end of the day, your touring comes down to how many asses can you put in a seat. So that's our job right now, is to build that number and raise that number. They always go back to, oh, what are your numbers? What are your numbers? Our numbers are better than a lot of the touring bands out there, but people just don't know who we are that much yet to where they're like, hey, I'm going to come to this. That was part of the problem with this last tour. We weren't given enough time to set up our advertising campaign because we would work every single city before we got there. So people know we're coming, 14 days in advance, at least a minimum of 14 days in advance. And we weren't able to do that. It was a big part of why we didn't do it.
Yeah, now as far as touring goes, I mean that is a big difference. A band like yours, I'm imagining, you guys are probably, you don't have like a designated driver, I'm assuming, or do you?
No, I've trained 2 more drivers. I was the driver. We have a 38-foot motorhome with a 20-foot trailer. It's a full-size rig. We live in it. It's got bunks and, sleeps 7 people. It's got 2 showers in it and a laundry. It's real nice, but it's big. And so this last time I took everybody out and they were, jump in, get in the seat, let's drive. And I've taught 2 more drivers now. And I'm working on the 3rd one when we come back. And then I got a crew guy that's driven a lot of stuff back in the past. So we take turns, we make it work. And I've toured for so long that I know how to get our drives down relatively short. And since we don't have to pay a bus driver over drives and hotels, we live at truck stops. They're free. And we get on the apps and find, well, there's 12 spaces left at this one. If we get there in the next half an hour, I think we'll get the last one. And I'm real good at that. So then we back in and it's actually kind of fun. And, dudes bond when you hang out like that under hard situations, but then we can, stop and sleep for 7-8 hours. And then our next day drive is only, 200-300 miles and it's not bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you entertain the thought of having a co-headlining bill with Hill Devil Hill and you playing 2 sets?
Yeah, that goes around a lot. My wife is begging for that. She loves Kill Devil Hill, and we're really good friends with everybody in the band too. I don't think it's I don't know that's a good ticket. I would do it in a heartbeat if I got to play all night and only move my gear once, and I get to play 2 hours a night. What a treat, because I always say, like, touring is the 23 hours you're not having fun. That hour on stage is why you do it, and you just. If I could make that a little bit longer, awesome. It would be tough to decide who's playing headlining at what show, but it would make things a lot easier because we could share all the backline and all that kind of stuff because it's all mine. I have it all. So it would make things really easy, but that's something I haven't really crossed with either band yet.
Mm-hmm. I think the bill would work. I would really want to see that myself.
Yeah, I think it would be a lot of fun personally.
Yeah. I'll get back to the songs. The next song I want to talk about is another super intense song called Kill. And, a lot of people might think it's like an aggressive, like violent song, but it really isn't. It's about killing memories. Can you tell us a little bit about that song in particular?
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. It's getting rid of the memories, just getting this horrible experience. And that can relate to anything. It's not one particular thing. It could be a bad relationship. It could be a trauma that you went through. Mark is a battlefield Marine veteran. He wasn't a cook, and I think where he was coming from was, from the standpoint of like all this stuff that happened that I was a part of or saw or witnessed, if that stuff keeps coming back up to the surface. So we're looking to kill the memories. It's enough. Like you have to process and move on. And that, I think it's relatable to a lot of people. And we had some back push from several managements about, hey, you want to change the name of that song? Because just coming out and saying kill at this time in the country and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, the song is Kill All the Memories. So just add all the memories to it, which we sent in. And then sometimes it just pops up as Kill. It is what it is. But a great song, though. Really fun, different from the rest of the record, which is one of the things I think that we did well, was get a little bit of a different attitude for each song.
Yeah, I definitely feel that there's some diversity to the record. The next song is pretty dark. It's called Hell's Never Over.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the first singles that you put out. I believe it was
That's the one, yeah.
2019. And it's already been close to 2 million streams so far for that particular song.
Great song.
Yeah, tell us a little more details about that particular one.
Great song, super catchy, straightforward rock metal song. And that kind of deals with self-harm and suicide, and people who feel like that no matter, when you get to that bottom thing, it's like, I just can't get away from this. And a lot of people struggle with depression. A lot of people struggle with suicidal thoughts. It's a reality. Mark works actively with veterans to save their lives, essentially. He works with a nonprofit group in Texas, and they do these retreats that last, I think it's 5 days. And they do DMT therapy and all kinds of other counseling and stuff like that, because he said he's tired of seeing his friends die. And, they say it's 22 a day. And when those are your friends or your former battlefield, comrades, however you want to refer to them, it's horrible. And it's really, really tough. And it's a serious issue. And I think he was just trying to address it in an artistic way and get that memory out so that people understand, like the old adage, you never know what someone else is going through. And, he's a really good human being. And I think that's kind of where he drew all of that from.
Yeah, it really is a great song. The next one I want to talk about is a song called Unstoppable, which, Unveil the Strength is unstoppable, in my opinion. I don't think you guys can be stopped.
They've tried. They have tried. This band is like, I referred to it one time. I said, I swear to God, the band is cursed, because every time we get to here, we get pushed back to here. And it could be anything. Like, we got the record ready, we hit the pandemic, we had everything ready to go. We lost our guitar player. We get our new guitar player. His visa gets messed up. He's not allowed in the country for a couple of years. We get another guitar player. Hey, we're finally able to go out on the road. And now this next second tour, at the last minute, we got to bail. But we never give up. When no one's coming to save you, you have to do it yourself. And if you quit, you're guaranteed to never make it. You're guaranteed to never achieve your dreams. And whatever you consider making it is, you can't. If you quit, it's over. So you have to be unstoppable. You have to keep pushing forward.
Yeah, it's a great message. And like I said, I don't think anyone can stop your band after the adversity you've been through. I mean,
Yeah,
and you're
we're
still
too
standing.
stupid to quit. That's all it really is. I say it all the time. Like, one of my friends, like, you're going to go out again? I'm like, hell yeah, I'm going to go out again. What am I supposed to do? This is who I am. This is what I do. So yeah, just keep going, keep pushing forward.
The next track is End of a Heartache. And this is a cover song that you did, a Killswitch Engaged cover song.
Yeah.
You had some success in a Five Finger Death Punch with a cover song called Bad Company.
A little bit, yeah.
What made you guys decide to cover this particular song?
Mark just did that. Like, he literally just sent it. He goes, check out what I did. It's like, we were slow. The record was ready. We were in between doing anything. We couldn't get any tours going because everything was still kind of closed. And he went up and it was his take on the song that he really likes. And he did that whole thing. It's just piano and him. And he goes, do you think we should release it? I'm like, why wouldn't you release it? It's beautiful. Like, his take on it is so dark. It's kind of like that song Gary Newman did, and every time that song plays, all around me, I see different faces, more now places. And it's super slow and melancholy. And they put it in that Donnie Darko movie, and everybody went nuts for it, and that's kind of the vibe I got. Like, his mind saw that song slow and morbid almost. And it was so beautiful. When I heard it, I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And it took me a second because he didn't tell me what it was. He just sent it, and I'm playing it on my phone. I'm like, this is a Killswitch song. This is amazing. Like, so I knew we had to start writing again. Otherwise, we're going to get 50 covers coming.
Yeah, the interesting thing about that song is that the original isn't like a slow ballad like that. It's, I mean, and for him to like listen to it and be able to like, turn it into that. I mean, I feel the song should have been that way originally.
Yeah, it's one of those deals. Like I don't want to say it's better that way, but it's definitely. I would like to see the two of them do it together. I think that would be the ultimate. The way to do that song would be to get them, but we got to do our work first, get a little bigger.
Yeah, no, I definitely I will say that it's better. So you don't have to, but I will say it. The next song I want to talk about is Vengeance and Misery. This was one of the very first songs that was released. And tell me about that particular song. That's another great, like, hard hitting song.
It's just kind of like, if you push me far enough, I'll come back at you. We don't ever go out and attack anybody. We're not that kind of people. We don't, cause the problem. But if you get to a point of pushing us, we will push back, and you kind of end up miserable for doing it. If you've ever been in a fight, even if you win that fight, you do feel bad about it later. If you don't, you're not human. As your kid growing up, I grew up a long time ago where you were allowed to have a fist fight in the parking lot after school, and nobody called anybody's parents. But if you whip some kid's ass, even though you won that one, there's always that side of you like, oh, I kind of feel bad about it. But with my hands around your throat, I'm the vengeance and the misery. I'm just going to bring all of that to you, is the lyric. And that's it. And that's a real thing, in life in general. Like, don't push me, I'll push back. I am a man.
Next song, the very first song that you put out, I believe, right? War Inside Us All is
Mm-hmm.
it was the first song that was released 2018, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Why did you decide to release that one first?
We had to look at the whole everything that we were going to release, because we were still making the record when that song came out. We weren't done with it. And we'd already known that we were going to start by releasing a couple of singles and then drop the rest, was the original plan. And as I explained earlier, we changed that. But we had to look at, in the order of what we knew we had in the arsenal, how we wanted to come out. We wanted people to come out and see what we were capable of, first of all. And War Inside Us All just has an amazing chorus in it, and it's a powerful song. Like, it grabs your attention. And that was kind of the idea first, is let's come out swinging. It wasn't our best foot forward. I don't feel it's our best song, but it's a really good song. I'm confident in it, but it just kind of set the attitude of, this is what we're about and this is what we're capable of.
I think it's one of my favorite songs. I mean, it's hard to pick out of the seven that have been released.
Yeah.
What do you plan now? I know that you had like 10 songs total, right? On originally.
Yeah, 11 with the cover. Yeah.
Okay. So do you have a plan for the next release?
Yeah, the next one, we have all the video footage completed. Since we changed members and we hadn't finished that video, we stopped back at we film at Fisher Studios in Fisher, Texas. It's about an hour or so away from Austin. Beautiful facility. So we popped in there on the last tour that we did with the new members, and we're able to film their parts for the video. So that's all in post-production right now. Because like I said, we like to release videos with songs, even if it's a lyric video. We try to avoid those, but budget is what it is. But this is a really, really cool video. It's a really good concept, and there's a lot of money that's been put into it already. So I told Mark, hey, let's just take a day, drive down to Fisher. I got everybody, film the drummer and the two new guitar players at the time, and get this thing done and get it into post. So that's all officially with the video editor now. We just have to pay him and then do the final edit. So once that's done, we will release Never Say Goodbye is going to be the next one. It's a really, really powerful ballad. It has to do with, when somebody passes away, but you never got a chance to say goodbye to him. And it has to do with Mark's brother, who was killed in a motorcycle accident. And Mark and his brothers were all in a band together back in the day. They would go play clubs and do the covers for like 3-4 hours, and then pack up their truck and drive across town to another club and do the late night set of another 2-3 hours. And just, they had to play like 40 songs, 50 songs in each set. It was pretty crazy, but they were a really tight group of people. And he just went out one day and never came back. And that's kind of his motivation for writing that song. And I think a lot of people know that. I mean, myself personally, I've lost family, and it's just like, I was going to talk to you tomorrow, and you never said goodbye, and now you're gone. So it's a beautiful video, but it's very sad. And but I'm looking forward to it, because people are going to see that, we have 2 ballads. We've only been releasing up-tempo songs. So this is the first one that we're going to release. Is very powerful, very unique arrangement too. It doesn't follow the what you're not going to expect it when you hear it, and then you're going to like, wow, it gives you the feels, as they say.
I can't wait to see it. A song like that could really take the band to the next level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been trying to get it out sooner, but he's like, "Oh, I'm not ready. We got to wait. We got to wait. We got to wait." The other ballad's a really good, strong ballad too, but it's a little bit more along the lines of the ballads you're used to hearing. But this one is it's really something unique, and there's, just a really an amazing mix in it, a lot of piano and symphony kind of stuff. So it's going to be fun. I'm excited to see people's reaction.
Yeah, like I said earlier, that's the great part about this band is that you guys are so diverse. I mean, it isn't just like, 100 miles aggressive in your face music. You guys can also do the like really powerful ballad as well.
It's important, and I like all kinds of music. So, getting to play that song is good. That song was harder to play and record than the faster ones. I can do the fast stuff in my sleep, but when you have to play slow, you actually got to play really well. And people think, oh, that's easy. No, it's not. The slower stuff takes a little bit more work, in my opinion.
Yeah, the one thing I really admire about you is the fact that, you're a great musician and unlike some other bass players, who are just in the background, you're in the foreground of all these bands. And it's I really admire your work. I was wondering, um, why did you decide to become a bass player?
I became a bass player when I was probably 13 or 14 is when I knew I was going to be a bass player. I was at a jazz camp, band camp as they call it, at the University of Illinois. And I went every summer. My parents would send me there. I was in jazz. I played saxophone, and we were there to study jazz theory and music, and just get in rooms with all these kids from all over the state would come and, spend a couple of weeks every summer. One of the things they did for us was just have jam sessions we could sit in on. So you're 14 yet, you can't go anywhere, do anything. So you went to all of them. I did anyway. And you would sit there and five cats would sit down and just, throw out a jam. And the stand-up bass player just killed it every time. He was so good, and he would do a whole bass solo thing and all this crazy stuff. And incidentally, this is how I know that, God is involved in my life and guiding my path is that same time I heard Master of Puppets. It was a brand new record. And the guy that I was rooming with in the dorm says, "Have you ever listened to this band Metallica?" And I'm like, "I've never heard of it." Like, we had one little record store in my town. And so he played it for me. And I just remember he started with Battery. And I was just like, oh my God, like, I've never heard anything like this in my life until I get to listen to Orion and hear Cliff Burton play. And this all happened at the same time. And that didn't even really hit me till I was 20 years old, probably, how that had lined up when I was starting to pay attention to my role in the universe and all that. And it really just changed my life. And I knew from then I never wanted to play guitar. Like, I had a guitar at the time, and I just really never liked it. It was small and everyone had one. Everyone played guitar. No one really played bass, and since I came from the jazz side of it, you really learn about what playing a bass is and what your role in the song is as a bass player.
Wow, that's really interesting. Do you still feel that Masters of Puppets is the best Metallica record?
Very good question. We have an ongoing debate in my tattoo shop between Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets. To me, they're two different records, and they're both absolutely outstanding. I really do feel that Master of Puppets is a masterpiece. It's absolutely just a brilliant album beginning to end. I think Ride the Lightning is an aggressive record, like super aggressive, and it was really good thrash record at the time, and I love it just as much. There's songs on there that I will cherish. I'm really glad I grew up when I did. I like to say we got all the good bands. We got all the Metallicas, we got Pantera when they were new, and bands like that. So very, very blessed that way. But I'll have to stick to my guns and go with Master of Puppets. I just think it's a better album.
You were in Five Finger Death Punch from 2005 to 2010. What was the biggest takeaway for you as a musician being in the band that became so popular like they did as quick as they did?
Oh, takeaways. I mean, I learned 100 lessons in that band. I learned a lot of what not to do as well. And I know more about the music industry than I ever wanted to. So a lot of stuff doesn't get past me now, that I'm a little bit more mature with my looking at record contracts and potential deals and tours and things like that. My biggest takeaway is there was a lot of really good bands coming up when we came up. And I think the band was destined to be what it is. I mean, look what happened. Look how big it is, and that wasn't that we were better musicians than anybody else. There was something in fate, in God, in whatever controls this path that we're on, that band was destined to be what it was. And at the end of the day, you get with the right people, big things will happen.
Do you feel that you're a better bass player because of the fact that you've played with so many different bands over your career, as opposed to just
Without
sticking?
question. Without question. It's a hard thing. There's musicians I know come up in a band, and very rarely does a band evolve. Okay. Most bands get big, they find their formula, they stay big forever, they make millions of dollars, more money they could ever even imagine making, and they just churn out the same record over and over and over. As a musician, that's really stifling. That's when you start to see, oh, this is my side project, this is my other side project. And then when you go to listen to that side project, and I don't know, this is weird. No, that's that person trying to show you that I'm more than this success story. So for me to play with other people, especially as a bass player, like I've never not gotten an audition. I'm always prepared. I'm always over prepared. I will show up. I've had people say, well, which song do you want to play? I'm like, just play all of them. I came here to win. And when I switch bands and go to play with another band, I end up with another guitar player. Like I'm playing with, there's a difference between playing with, Jason Hook, who's a great guitar player, and he's a good songwriter. He writes really good active rock music. Great player too. So you play a certain way when you play with Jason Hook, but now I get to play with Mark Zavon. And Mark Zavon, in my opinion, is miles above him. Just his take on music is brilliant, and I love playing with him. But since it's a 4-piece, which is what I prefer, they encourage me to play bass. It's not, don't play the guitar line and stay out of the way. Play bass. What can you add to the song? Because I've always said, find me a band with a prominent bass player that isn't good. It just doesn't exist. Every band that has a standout bass player or allows their bass player to be part of the song, it's a better piece of music. So I'm always searching for inspiration. I'm always searching to learn from you. Plus, I switched drummers. That's a big part of being a bass player is who's the drummer. Speed metal drumming for years. So I got really fast. That was great. But now I play, an active rock thing in Unveil the Strength. And that's just about being a metronome and being perfect because the songs are on click and everything you got to really be a monster when it comes to that. But turn and go play Kill Devil Hill with Johnny Kelly. He has a way of playing slow really fast, for lack of a better way to explain it. And he's a great pocket drummer, and he makes me a better bass player because it took a couple rehearsals and stuff, but I really felt it right away. I'm like, oh, I'm a better bass player today from this rehearsal alone. So I don't ever want that to stop.
Yeah, I've read that some of the producers that you've worked with actually compliment you on your unique bass style. Do you think it's because the way that you started bass, in a band camp and learning jazz, as kind of was the foundation for you becoming the unique bass player that
Absolutely.
you are?
I don't listen to music the same way a lot of people listen to music. My wife is a lyrics person. I've listened to some songs for 15 years that I still don't know the words to because I'm still digesting the mix. I listened to the hi-hat this time through. I listened to what was the polyrhythm on the drums? Like I'm always trying to find the music side of it. So I focus on that. And I definitely try and add to the song without stepping on it. You can always overplay. It's super easy. And I even told Mark when I did the Kill Devil Hill record, if I start overplaying, just rein me back in. I don't take it personal. I'm going to give you everything. And all we got to do is, edit back in. And I think there was 2 or 3 pieces he sent me. Hey, can you retrack this a little simpler? You played it great, but it's kind of stepping on, no problem, and you remember that you put your ego aside and you learn and you just try and be an actual bass player. How do I complement this song? How do I make it better? So the more people you play with, the faster you get at that and recognizing what this thing needs. And a lot of people will hear, oh, here's the song. And they're so used to bass players who are failed guitar players pulling their pick out and just strumming along with the guitar. I don't see the point in that. I don't know why you're there. I wouldn't want you on my stage. And I've got it to the point where the 4-piece thing is not so much because I'm an active performer, but what do I need another guitar player playing rhythm part? I just don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, people say, oh, during the lead, it drops out. Yes. So what? You should be paying attention to the lead right now anyway. And that gives me a chance to play like all kinds of crazy stuff on bass under the lead. And I do play multiple fingers at a time, so I can fill up the spot if need be. So it's just, my take is play with as many people as you can, get as good as you can. Otherwise your whole life will just be this bland thing. No matter how big it is, it's the same damn thing over and over.
I totally agree. Some of my favorite bands, Power Trios, for instance, I think are great. or the bands that have, just a lead singer and a bass player, guitarist, and drummer. Like I think those are the best bands.
Yeah, I mean that's worked for 50, 60 years, and if your bass player is a failed guitar player, that formula won't work for you. If you want to have a four piece, you need to have a bass player who's like in love with playing bass and can look at the song and make it work with just you.
Besides Cliff, who are some of the other bass players that have influenced you over your career?
Steve Harris is one of the biggest ones, without question. That was when I was first actually learning to play bass. I would sit, with my cassette player and back and forth and figure out Iron Maiden songs. I had no gear, but I had a little combo amp and patient parents who allowed me to sit there and, crank it up really loud. Dad gave me Victor Wooten CDs for Christmas every year, which kind of breaks your will to play bass because he's so damn good. Billy Sheehan is not only a super amazing guy, just one of the best bass players. And if I was to try to get to a level of playing, it's his style. I did a signing with him in 2009, 2010 at NAMM. And, Death Punch was a brand new band. Nobody knows who we are. And we're standing in line. His line is all the way down the aisle. And mine's like a handful of my buddies are like, Matt, you made it, And he just looked at me, put his arm around me, goes, don't worry, buddy. It'll get bigger. Because he already knew who I was. We're both Rotosound artists. And then he just told them, hey, can you get us a couple beers? And he was just so humble and so kind. And then, he was doing the records with Ray Luzier and stuff. And I just, he turned me on to Ray Luzier a lot, and I really like him. And he's got the same attitude that Billy Sheehan has. Like, they're just good people. They don't let their unbelievable talent define their personality. So when I watched him play all the way from Tallis to Mr. Big, he's the man. He's the guy, and living legend, as I like to say. And hopefully someday I can be 50% as good.
Fortunately, with me being grown up in Buffalo, New York, I was able to see Billy back from like '79. I saw him for the first time when Tallis opened for UFO, and used to go see him in the clubs all the time. So I was really lucky and fortunate to kind of like, see him grow into what he became, the superstar. We all knew he would become that. It was just a matter of time.
Just you watch him and you just go, that's it right there. That's the showmanship too is just spectacular. He's just like I said again, I grew up with all the good bands. I got to see this stuff before. I mean, new metal's great. I dig on some new metal, but it doesn't have any of that technique, any of that style, any of that over the top, production. And look at me, watch me do this shit. See if you can do it. Why don't you go home and get to work? But it just motivates me at that point.
Well, Matt, I want to thank you very much for your time. This was a very interesting interview, and I really hope that you get out to Buffalo, New York sometime soon.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Just not in December or January. Let's just wait a couple months.
That's true. I mean, the way the weather is now, I mean, either we're going to get like 6 feet of snow, or else it's going to be like 60 degrees. I mean, it's
it's 85 here today.
Wow.
And it's October, and I live in the mountains. It's supposed to be a lot. It's going to be freezing cold in 2 days, I think. So It's just bipolar. It's okay. It makes for an interesting day.
Yeah, crazy times that we're living in. Well, anyways, Matt, thank you very much, and hopefully, like I said, we'll see you on the road. And great job with both bands. They both kick ass. And
thank you. Appreciate you.
All right, take it easy, Matt.